Hello, beautiful Libra Moon Signs, and welcome to your channeled tarot reading prediction for the new moon happening in Scorpio on the 15th of November. Stay tuned. So firstly, just a little bit of astrology stuff, and I'm getting my astrological information from the astrology podcast, Tanya Gabrielle and Shani Nicholas, some of my favorite astrologers. So check them out if you want more information. But essentially, we have quite a lot happening at the moment. We have Mercury stationing retrograde on the 3rd of November, probably already stationing retrograde before you watch this. And we're going to be in the post-shadow phase until the 19th of November, so expect still a couple little delays, but it is going to start speeding up and getting a little bit easier to communicate and to get things moving. Mars is stationing direct on the 13th of November, and this is also going to make things a little bit easier to get things flowing and moving. Of course, we still have the shadow phase after that, and of course it can cause eruptions and anger and other things to erupt, right? Sometimes if there's been this passive aggressivity underlying things, then what happens is as soon as Mars stations direct, everything sort of comes out, right? We can also lose our tempers at this point, so just be careful where you're focusing your energy, because you can definitely make this a conscious choice, right? Where do you want that forward motion to happen for you? Focus your energy there, and then that's what erupts for you, right? We also have the sun moving through Scorpio, and we have a conjunction happening between Pluto and Jupiter, and so we really have these very Plutonian themes going on. And Pluto is death, it's the underworld, it's the purging, it's the cleansing, it's the truth revealing, right? Scorpio is that truth bringer, it's the phoenix, it's the burning everything into the purging fires, only so that we can re-emerge, re-arise as something better, something more powerful. It's a burning down of the foundations that no longer work, so that we can rebuild those foundations. And so you can see this collectively happening, right? There's a lot of crumbling in terms of our structures, institutional transformation, huge transformations happening. And I think specifically for you guys, Libra Moons, you're really going to be seeing this focused in terms of justice and our judicial systems, right? A lot of you may actually work within these systems, not all of you, but I do think that this is where it's going to be highlighted for you, at least in terms of your experience of it, in just seeing those transformations begin to take place, right? We're all very dissatisfied with the way things have been. We have collectively manifested a huge shift this year, and we can feed into the fear narrative of that exists, absolutely. But we can also feed into the empowering aspect of this, which allows people to open their eyes and to shift and to do the inner work, right? This is also what lockdown provides. It provides a space in which we can do the inner work. Of course, you can also choose to be hiding further and further into those veils by slipping into abusive cycles or continuing to move through abusive cycles. And if you are abusing substances, these kinds of things, then that veil remains thick over your eyes and does not lift. And this is a choice. This is a choice, and so may we lift those veils of our ignorances forevermore. And there are always more veils to be lifting. There's always more levels of understanding, of inspiration to come through. May we continuously evolve and expand upon these realms. We also have an opposition happening between Mars and Venus. I can't remember what date, I didn't write it down. But I think that this is really highlighting a lot of the unequal power dynamics. I think this is a conversation that's been going on for a while this year. Unequal power dynamics in terms of race, in terms of gender, and really, most importantly, in terms of our inner worlds, right? Bringing into balance, and Libra moons, you know about that healing power of the balancing energy, but bringing in that balance in terms of our masculine, our sacred masculine energy, and our divine feminine energy, and the way that we utilize these energies to bring through that supportiveness, that symbiosis, that divine hand holding, that we hold each other through these spaces so that we can transmute any of the oppressiveness that we have internalized, right? It's about setting ourselves free within ourselves through bringing in that balance, through bringing in that understanding. We also have another square happening between Uranus and Mercury, and Uranus brings through some of those very revolutionary understandings, the truth, the realizations, the upheavals, right? It's quite a radical energy, and with Mercury in the conversation, it's about understanding, it's about communication, it's about messages, it's about receiving messages and delivering messages. And sometimes it can feel very tactless, these kinds of messages, but you know, often the truth can be perceived as tactless and harsh, but the truth always sets us free, even when it's a difficult truth to see. Beautiful Libra moons, please, will you bring through this understanding when you look out at the news streams, at the social media streams, at all the narratives and the conversations that are happening globally. May you see through the fear, and may you see those divine justice energies that are at work, and may you be a part of that work through the inner work that you are moving through right now. And I'd like to pull a few cards for you. Well, a lot of these cards just affirm what I've already channeled through for you. But essentially, there is something that you're missing. There's something you're not seeing in terms of your interpersonal relationships, in terms of your companionships. And this can be your love partner relationships, it can be your friendships, it can be your relationship with your family, your children, your parents, right? But those interpersonal, those very personal relationships, there is an aspect you're not seeing, and perhaps there's something that's a little bit dissatisfying right now. Maybe you're feeling a bit angry about someone, but there's an aspect to the other person's approach or the other person's viewpoints that you're just not seeing right now. So don't be so attached to your view being the only way, the only truth, right? There are multiple truths, and so just open up your vision a little bit in terms of seeing the other truths and bringing through that compassion. That doesn't mean you have to step away from your truth. It just means you accept that there is another way, and that you can find a way to understand each other through building these bridges of understanding, through meaningful conversation. And hey, sometimes there's been argumentation, but of course, sometimes with an argumentation, we have a little bit of a flare-up, we maybe get a bit angry, and then we clear the air, and we bring through and build new bridges of understanding for each other. In terms, and that's leading up to the new moon for you guys, right? This working on those interpersonal relationships. But for you, over this new moon in Scorpio, I really have you calling in those divine earth energies and rooting yourself in divine femininity. And even if you are so gendered male or identify more with the masculine energy, right, you always have that access to feminine energy. Please recognize that you are always both, and that it's important to bring through that balance, right? And you need for you to do some more research, to tap into some more understanding, to listen a little bit more to the truths that other people are speaking, to maybe do some more reading, and it's really feeling like a spiritual research point, but perhaps there is some research you need to do in terms of understanding something in the work sphere as well, and bringing in that grounding energy, that healing mother energy, that earth mother energy. And you know what? This is not the kind of feminine energy that is passive, or, you know what, feminine energy is not weak. It's not weak. It's very strong, and it can be really fierce, like that bear energy, right? That matriarchal bear, fierce mother cub energy. And there is this sense of needing to protect what you've built, needing to protect what you've created, and needing to set boundaries that are beneficial for you. And this could be in terms of those interpersonal relationships, it could be in terms of your work, it could be in terms of setting boundaries around when you use social media, right? Because this can also be something that steals away your power if you're there too much, if you're mindlessly scrolling. Of course, we can utilize these spaces in empowering ways, which is something I'm really trying to consciously do right now. But these platforms are set up in a way that make them very addictive, because of course the people who build these platforms, their job is to keep you on those platforms for as long as possible. But we do need to tap out at some point. So boundary setting, calling in the earth energy, these are the kinds of ritual things I'd like for you to be working with as we move through the Scorpio new moon. And of course Scorpio is really about that release and that letting go, and a new moon is generally about planting new seeds. So check in with what it is that you need to let go of in terms of the programs, because maybe this is what it's got to do with in terms of your boundary setting, right? Maybe you felt that you're not worthy to set that boundary. Maybe you feel like you need to constantly give and work too many hours and give to your children whenever they demand it, right? You also deserve to go, no, now it's my time. It's time for you to leave me alone, and it's time for me to have some quiet time. I'm going to do my yoga, or I'm going to do my meditation, or my walk on the beach, or whatever it is that's your sacred time, right? You deserve that time. You deserve to honor yourself. You deserve to eat healthily. You deserve to have a healthy body, to exercise your body in healing ways. So set those boundaries. Step into that knowing that you are worthy. Let go of those old beliefs that do not align with that worthiness that you are. And plant those new seeds in terms of what it is you wish to learn, where it is you wish to grow, and how it is you wish to move in this world going forward after this point. And in terms of what I see happening for you next, after this new moon in Scorpio, we have an honoring, you stepping into an honoring of that process, of that life cycle of going, now it's time to work, now it's time to play, now it's time to rest. And understanding that the rest and the play is just as important as the work, and that we've been fed this lie in this capitalist society that we need to put in work, right? The rest is the work as well. The play is the work as well. This is how we maintain our spiritual sense of well-being. This is how we remind ourselves of who we are. This is how we celebrate and bring joy into our lives. This is how we honor our bodies, which is just as important as the physical work we do in terms of going to work, producing content, creating physically in this realm, in this world. And I'm really seeing this happen within an institutional space. I think for some of you, you've been thinking about studying and now you're joining an institutional space. I know in the north, a lot of you start your schooling year or have just started your schooling year right now. And there really is this sense of dealing with the institution. For some of you, it's not going to be the educational institution, right? For some of you, it's the institution where you work. For some of you, it's the institution of the government, maybe perhaps in terms of getting visas organized or residency permits, these kinds of things. But there really is this sense of working with an institution in some way, shape, or form, and realizing that getting frustrated with the institution and putting in too much work is actually not paying off, that you also need to switch that off. Go, okay, that's enough for today. Time for me to rest. Time for me to play. Time for me to have divine sacred me time, or even family time, right? This is also divine time. Beautiful Libra moons. Such a pleasure to have you in this space. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Please let me know, what are you releasing at this time? Do you believe that you're enough? Please type it below. And if you're working on some self-hypnosis, I'd like to recommend an amazing channel, an amazing human being, Marissa Peer, who you can find here on YouTube. And she did start that movement, I Am Enough. And if you've heard of that movement, she's the amazing queen who started that. So please check her out and let me know in the comments what you thought. What are you moving through? Please hit like and subscribe if you want to keep up to date with all the things I'm releasing. I'm releasing twice a month these predictions, for now at least. I think at some point I'm going to make it once a month. And yeah, thank you for being here. Please connect with me on Instagram. I do a weekly live on the Instagram space, and this is an interactional live channeling tarot session. And it's become quite a fun and beautiful space, and I really love the immediacy and the interaction and hearing directly from you. And of course, you can join me on Facebook to keep up to date on all the things I'm doing. I'll certainly be doing some lives there in the future. And until next time, beautiful souls. Oh, and of course, if you want a personal reading with me, please drop me an email for a quote on how much this costs. Until next time, with love.